Hey, welcome to the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute with your host, the alchemist of Indiana's Black Forest, Alan Bishop. Hey, this channel is all about home distilling and legal distilling. If you've got questions, reach out to us in the comments below, social media, or via bishopshomegrown@gmail.com. And don't forget to check out thealchemistcabinet.com. What do you think?
I like it.
Okay. We have our glasses in here too?
Yep, they're down here.
Good deal. All right, we're recording whenever you're ready, Justin. So
I am ready.
He says, I am ready in the lowest, quietest voice that he could possibly say it in. So we're not entirely sure what we're going to call this thing, or if it's going to become its own podcast, or if it's just a crossover between Still Learning and One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute. But we're having Sunday Funday here at the Bishop household. And we figured we would go ahead and do a little tasting since our buddy Wayne Herbert from Ozark Stillworks was kind enough to send over a couple of really interesting distillations that we've already kind of dipped into a little bit without getting drunk.
We succeeded. We didn't get drunk before we started running the still.
Yeah, nobody has gotten drunk or inebriated in any other way yet today, which is somewhat of a rarity.
Very much so.
So pallets are good to go as far as I know. And Wayne sent some really cool stuff. So if you guys aren't familiar with Ozark Stillworks, definitely check them out. There's a video that I did on what Wayne is working on the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute channel, with the Mr. Fusion pot still head that has an actual coil on the inside of it for a deflator, as well as the shocker, quote unquote, deflator that Wayne sent over, which is a 2-inch spool with flattened annealed copper running tightly to the outside for reflux work. Wayne is also working on an inline thumper. He's working on a actual condenser that'll be made similar to the shocker. And then he's also working on, he's done several different reducers and things of that nature. So anything that you might be interested in for home distillation in particular, that would be a modification that you can make with tricloves, Wayne can pretty much build it, and he does absolutely beautiful work. So be sure to check it out. Also, Justin, tell us about your podcast.
So I have a podcast I started whenever I got into the distilled spirits industry. I started learning a lot from Alan. And I believe no matter what your career path, I was a firefighter and a paramedic prior to getting into the distilled spirits industry. But I believe no matter what your career path, you should always be learning. If you're not learning, you're kind of stagnant and you're not keeping up with the current things, or even learning the stuff from the past. But I have a podcast called Still Learning, just kind of a audio journal going back what I'm learning, the things that I'm failing at, because I believe you should learn from your failures. And it's honestly, and Alan had mentioned this before, it's going to be a way for me to see how far I've come.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The little journal you can go back to. So Justin is also my assistant distiller at Spirits of French Lick. And so we've been hanging out pretty tight for the past several months, and doing a lot of training, and he's learning from me, and then I'm also learning some things from him as well. So it's been a good relationship so far. And again, I don't know what we're going to do with this, if this just becomes a crossover between One Piece at a Time and Still Learning, or it becomes its own separate thing in time. We'll see. But nonetheless, we got some cool stuff to taste through, and you guys will have to ignore the mess of the bedroom and the shitty camera angle if you're watching a YouTube video, because there's really nowhere to set up the camera in here that's not going to be blocked in by something, or look weird, or have a shelf with all kinds of strange shit on it, or a bed that's not made, whatever. So that being said, what did Wayne send us? What are we starting with today?
So since we tried some stuff earlier, I would say let's do the sweet potato first.
I agree.
This can be the lightest one that we have, I think. Yeah. The one saved for last. Yeah, for sure. The cayenne one, yes, last. So what are the notes on that bottle there, Justin? So it says sweet tater, 90 proof.
Tater.
What is
sweet tater.
Sweet tater. This was sweet potato, and it was capitalized, correct? Yeah. I believe Wayne said that it's he told me the gravity off of the initial sweet potato was pretty low, so they capitalized it, and I think they did use white sugar. So in traditional distillation, this would be most similar to like a sweet potato baijiu, more or less, or a sochu from sweet potato.
And we did jump into these a little bit earlier. Wayne was concerned with this one because he thought it was a little hot. But when we tasted it earlier, there's a little bit of the sugar bowl effect, a little bit of the sugar shine effect that you get off of sugar shines. But I didn't find it in any way offensive.
No, it wasn't like when Alan says sugar bowl, when I first got into this, I didn't understand what that was. And I guess I'm starting to believe or starting to find out that it's, you get some of that ethanol hotness, but you also get like a weird, it reminds me of like the bottom of Rice Krispies, that sugary thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of what like the sugar bowl, quote unquote, thing reminds me.
Right.
Of. It's not offensive with this one.
No, not at all. I mean, when I nose this, I get the baked sweet potato nose, and it does go. It's a very light spirit. It's very light bodied in general. It does go a little bit more towards like some of that earthy sort of stuff that you get off of sweet potatoes, particularly with the skin. But it is a light, approachable spirit overall. And no, we are not drinking out of proper Glencairn glasses because my dumb ass didn't wash any. So we have whatever we have. So, which is okay. We'll try to potentially be more professional next time. Although I think Justin actually likes these kind of glasses himself. So
I do. I have a hard time pulling some notes out of a traditional Glen. I like a Canadian Glen. I feel like I can pull a whole lot more notes out of that. I don't know if it's because I got this giant schnoz or what, but it works out.
Got the Toucan Sam schnoz going in there.
Follow my nose.
Right.
So you said something just now that kind of made me think. You were talking about the skins, and I know you said earlier, like if you overcook a baked sweet potato and you get some of that caramelization in there. So if you would like peel a sweet potato and then bake it, so it actually caramelizes a little bit more on the outside because it doesn't have that protective skin.
Yeah.
That's kind of...
I could see that. So to me, the way it drinks, it's initially very sweet, like a baked sweet potato would be, like a lightly buttered baked sweet potato. Maybe not even, and I don't know how many people watching this would be familiar with different varieties of sweet potatoes, but leave it to the seed geek to tell you. Maybe not even like the normal dark orange Beauregard sweet potato that most people are used to, but like the lighter, less sugary white sweet potatoes that we commonly grew around here when I was growing up. It definitely has that characteristic to it, to where you're not really adding any sugar to it, and the butter's very, very light. On the palate, you get that sweetness, and then after that, I get that area between the skin of the sweet potato and the actual flesh of the sweet potato. I know some of you weirdos don't eat the skin on your sweet potatoes, which doesn't make any sense to me. That's where all the nutritional value is anyways. But you're the weirdo that doesn't eat the skin? See, I love the skin off the sweet potato. But that area between the flesh and the skin, where you get both that sweetness and a little of that earthiness and the minerals that come through when that sweet potato is growing out in the garden or out in the field. There is a little flash of heat at the very end, which is that chaptalization that Wayne was talking about, but it is not at all offensive in any way.
Well, and I don't mind, I've told you this before, I like some high proof stuff. I know you and I differ with that.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times if the heat's up front, it just kills everything.
Yeah.
With that heat being at the back end, it doesn't bother me at all.
No.
Something else I thought of. So Tiff's grandma will take sweet potatoes and slice them up like she's going to make fried taters.
Yeah.
And she doesn't pile them up in the pan. She just, it's kind of funny to watch her cook them because she puts like 4 or 5 slices in the pan, and that'd be like her lunch or something like that. And you get a whole lot more caramelization that way. Yeah. And the sweetness with that is different. Like if you would take that and cut it into pie pieces, and the inside of it has a different caramelization than the outside.
Than the outside, yeah.
And that's kind of, because you get this little bit of a wave with this.
My grandma did something like that. So the white sweet potatoes, because we grew white and orange both every year, and I've actually grown some purples as well in the past. But she would take the orange ones were the ones that she would either make her pies out of, or she would do like candied sweet potatoes, and she'd take them and she'd bust them in half and basically bake them. But she'd bake them with brown sugar. I can't remember what all she put in there. I want to say she put a little vanilla in there, which is funny because this almost has that sort of artificial vanilla sort of thing going on the palate too. And then the white ones, her dad, that's what he used to take with him to work as a snack. Her mom would bake a bunch of them at the beginning of the week, and then he would take them wrapped up in aluminum foil, and then that's what he'd have for a snack at work every day. So, and I love sweet potatoes. Actually, this makes me curious to want to make a sweet potato spirit. In particular, because as Justin said, he tends to lean into the higher proof stuff and maybe sometimes some of the heavier stuff, whereas I used to do that, but as I'm getting older, my palate's changed, and I seem to be leaning more towards like the lighter, more floral, more fruity, sometimes even more herbal sort of characteristics. And I think it's honestly because of my years in professional distilling. Like I've burnt my palate out on my style of distillation.
I can understand that.
So, but no, this is great, man. Wayne did a fantastic job on this, and I would drink this. I mean, I'd get just flat plastered on this.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you right now, it'd be a problem for everybody. I'd be making Dusty Roads videos by the end of the day. It's
90 proof, and I don't think, besides that little flash of heat there at the back end, it does not drink 90 proof. And I think that kind of with the light body, and I know we were talking earlier about different things we could do, or Wayne could do with this. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it whatsoever, but I always think there's room to critique things.
Yeah.
Either, I know you said molasses earlier, or oat, or even, and you were talking about candied potatoes earlier.
Yeah.
A little bit of maple syrup.
Yeah.
With.
That'd be fun.
That'd be
fun. All right, guys. Well, in the words of Bearded and Bored, Justin and I have to go visit the liquor ferry real quick. So we will return momentarily and pick up where we left off. All right, we're back again. So liquor ferry was almost pissed off at us, but I think we got it. Under control. I hope. So we're back doing tastings again. I think we probably. This would be like 3 tastings in 30 minutes sort of thing. 3 for 30 or 30 for 3.
Sounds like some weird Walmart sale.
It also sounds like a shitty basketball program.
Yes.
Like a really bad one. So what we got in front of us now that Wayne made?
So this is corn and apple split brandy with cinnamon in the ferment, and then aged on white oak and sliced apples.
He went all in on that deal for sure. So for those who aren't familiar with a split brandy, it can be one of two things. It can be, and you're going to hear the dog barking in the background because we have company coming in. Split brandy can be either a brandy where you use the actual juice of the fruit that you're working with as your strike water. And then add your grain to that when you're cooking, or you can do a sugar shot and do it cold, or it can be you use water and you use grain and ground up fruit or cut up fruit one way, shape, form the other, or it can be that you distilled a brandy. That dog is super annoying. I apologize, guys. Or it can be that you actually distilled a brandy and then you distilled a whiskey and then you blended them together. I'm going to presume here that Wayne probably ran a grain mash bill and added apples to it like an apple mash brandy, but I don't know that for sure. So
yeah,
but see, and I like that one a lot too.
Yeah,
it's much heavier than the sweet potato on the nose.
Yep.
That apple is definitely, to me, that apple is at the forefront.
Oh, definitely,
big time.
If you bit into an apple, that big fresh fruit apple that you get in the nose as soon as you bite into an apple, it's right there. Kind of like
it really a lot like a Honeycrisp apple when you eat a Honeycrisp apple. That's what's coming across to me. That the corn is there, but it's subdued, and I don't even know that I'd call it corn as much as, again, that kind of sugar bowl effect.
Yeah.
That's there, but it's balanced by that apple in such a way that it's not offensive in any way, shape, or form.
The grain on the nose is more, to me, just a back sweet caramel type thing going on.
Mm-hmm. There's almost like a little Applejack cereal note going on there.
I could definitely see that. So we got into these probably, about 2 hours ago, give or take. So they've been sitting in the bottle or in the jar, what have you. And that, after it has oxidized a little bit, has actually sweetened up a little bit, I think. 'Cause it was sweet earlier, but it's more well-rounded sweetness now.
Yeah, and earlier there was a little bit of a medicinal tone to the finish that is not there now at all. It's just straight up sweet when on the entry. Maybe a little honey sort of thing on the entry. And then across the palate, especially as you get to the mid palate and into the finish, it goes straight up just like apple juice, but slightly oxidized apple juice.
Just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So all the apple pie, quote unquote, shine that people make, this is what it should be.
Yes, this is very much more so what an apple pie absolutely should be.
Yeah, because it still has, and I know he had cinnamon in the ferment, but a lot of times, and you've talked about this before, cinnamon without the heat isn't cinnamon.
Mm-hmm.
I think the ethanol kicks the heat a little bit with this because there's no cayenne in this one.
Right.
I'm saying this one because here in a little bit we're gonna mess around and find out, as they say. But it still has a little bit of that heat, and it's like a warm apple pie. And there is a little bit of butteriness there too after it sets.
Did you hear him edit himself? Instead of fuck around and find out, it became mess around and find out.
Fuck a boot and find out.
He fucking turned into Butters from South Park there for a minute, Justin. No, this is fucking excellent though. This is really good stuff. It's interesting they put the cinnamon in the fermentation. So for years, there's a little bit of a backstory here, but for years I had there's this Welsh guy, and you'll see him pop up sometimes on my social media, Justin, because he switches accounts to fuck with me. But he's just a dick. That's all. The only excuse for this guy. He's just a dick. And he got like super shitty with me one time because we were talking about absinthe and various botanical stuff. And he said, "You're doing that wrong. Like, you have to do all the botanicals in the fermentation, then distill it." And I'm like, in no instance have I ever came across that, right?
No.
And then, of course, I found out later on with the stone beer and then my Groot idea, right? Distilling Groot, which is basically making your beer and putting your botanicals in your beer and then distilling that beer. You know, that would have been a fairly common thing, I suspect, amongst the Norse that were actually in Scotland and Ireland who were trying to imitate the Irish monks that were distilling. So I had to eat crow a little bit on that deal, although that guy's still a dick and he was just looking for a fight. So it's interesting to see Wayne actually add his botanicals to the fermentation, even if it's just cinnamon. It came across just fine. And it doesn't come across like, you know, you throw cinnamon into a maceration and it becomes just cinnamon after a while. So
it's too much.
Yep. So this worked out great.
Yeah, most definitely. I could very easily see you and I polishing off a bottle of this.
Yeah,
quickly.
absolutely. We'd be getting into some kind of trouble for sure. So Justin, I know you got something coming up regarding hoses. Tell us about this hose obsession that you have.
The hose obsession. Well, it started when I was a wee child.
Show me on this doll.
Show me why valves are important.
Right.
So for the past few years, as I had said earlier, I was a paramedic and a firefighter before I got into the distilled spirits industry. And before I even became a career firefighter, I wanted to get into what's called Guns and Hoses. It's a charity boxing match down in Evansville, Indiana. Firefighters and cops. There's some EMS personnel. There was actually a coroner that fought for a couple years. She's a good friend of mine. I'm
not fighting a fucking I don't want to fight anybody, but I'm definitely not fighting the coroner.
She's bad. She's a kickboxer. She's bad.
Right.
But anyhow, I'd wanted to get into this and had never really had the gumption to train enough or get down to Evansville to actually train. I was working 2 jobs, just didn't have time. So 2 years ago, I finally got to fight. Like I said, it's a charity boxing match. It started out as a charity event for one of the Evansville police officer's daughter, I believe. And she had some type of disease. I honestly don't know what it was, but it turned into from filling a small school gymnasium to filling the Ford Center down in Evansville. So in April, it's April 15th, I'm going to be fighting again. I fought the same guy the first 2 years. Now I'm fighting actually the guy that I wanted to fight.
This guy's big too. I just giving Justin shit all the time. Like, you're gonna fight Brock Lesnar.
He is a keg with abs.
Yes.
He's my height, and I think he weighs in right at 270, and he's big. It's gonna be fun. At
the distillery all the time, whenever I bring up something that Justin could do that's like physical labor intensive, he's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "It's part of your training, and if you don't do it and you get your ass whipped, I'm gonna have to be like, see." If you had done what I said, you wouldn't get your ass whipped.
Should have carried that barrel or lifted that bag or whatever.
Right. You fill them barrels up with water and start flipping them.
Yeah, that's what we'll do.
That's what'll happen. All right, I think we got another drink here. We're going to pause just momentarily, and we'll be right back with you. That's that, right?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So we are back in the tiny bedroom studio with Justin, and now we've been joined by Old Dale Bishop.
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 Whoa, Dale Bishop.
Is that how they sounded?
There's a story behind that
Pretty
maybe
much.
we'll tell you one day. So, can you guys see Dad's big face over here? There we go.
He's got a little head.
He does have a tiny head, but
Close to
I
my
mean,
fat belly.
and my big dick.
Yeah. That's why they call me Old Dale Bishop.
God was running out of material, so he said, "I bet he'd rather have a big dick than a giant head."
Well, you know what they say, they give you enough blood to only run two heads at one time, so
That would be one head at a time.
that's what I say, one head at a time, so they all stayed down there.
Welcome to the One Head at a Time Distilling Institute.
Why are you so lightheaded at work all the time, then? I'm concerned.
It ain't easy.
It ain't easy. Pimping ain't easy, right?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Quit hiding. Move your head over here where people can see.
I can limp.
Limping ain't easy.
All right, Wayne Herbert. So we did this for you. I've never actually managed to short segment of If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything to get Dad on a podcast. So we brought him in specifically to taste the third spirit of yours that we're tasting tonight. So what we're tasting is Wayne Herbert from Ozark Stillworks sent me, don't smell or taste it yet,
All right.
sent me 3 samples of stuff. Some really good stuff. He sent us a sweet potato shine. He sent us a corn whiskey split brandy. So it's corn whiskey, apple brandy. That was also aged on some apples. And then Justin's going to tell us what this spirit is. And it's not real high proof, so you don't have to worry about it being super high proof.
So this is corn aged on dehydrated apples and cinnamon, and it's 90 proof.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sounds
All
good.
right. So let's give it a little. We're gonna smell everything, then we're gonna taste it. We're gonna describe as we go. So just so people know, my dad Dale here, he does not do tasting notes the way that we do. His thing is like he'll taste something, he'll be like, meh. There's no descriptors whatsoever. Just meh.
It's either good or bad.
Or yeah, that's
different.
That's good. Different, but it's good.
I can't help it.
So on the nose, I get a big candy note.
Yeah.
A really nice candy note. And I'm not going to describe what that candy note is until Dad gets him some of that. Those apples are there. That corn is there, but it's a diacetyl note. It's the buttered movie popcorn note on the nose is what I get. So what are you getting
Yeah,
off
I
of it?
can smell that. It kind of smells like buttered popcorn.
Yeah. Anything else in particular?
I smell something sweet, but I don't know how to explain it.
You're going to have to
I don't
speak
know.
up.
I don't know if it's candy or what I smell. I smell something, but I don't know. I can't tell you what it smells like.
It's my pee-pee.
You wish.
Justin, what are you
There's
getting,
your
brother?
PP, they be calling you old Alan Bishop.
Oh, Alan Bishop.
So earlier it was more candy.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of brown sugar now, I think.
Right? Yeah, the brown sugar definitely.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how much that's changed since we've opened that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, all of them, really.
Ironically, now that you say that, so I'm kind of leaning towards almost like caramel popcorn or even like kind of a praline
Yes.
sort of thing.
Praline or what's the peanut butter, or not peanut butter, the real hard snappy candy that people make with the peanuts.
Peanut brittle.
Peanut brittle without the peanuts.
Yeah. I could see
Yeah,
that.
I smell that. Kind of smell like peanut brittle. I smell
There's another note there, and I don't know how to describe it. And this is going to sound bad, and I don't mean it to sound bad, but you know,
it's a weird smell.
certain places have like a certain smell to them, right?
Yeah.
So like, I have a memory, for example, of like my babysitter's basement had a very particular like musty smell to it. This is not musty.
No.
There was a place I used to work at. It's called Fabriform, and it was they did like mold injected plastics.
Burnt plastic.
Not burnt plastic, but there maybe is a
Hot
little
plastic.
like Brettanomyces kind of characteristic, for sure.
I got it. Like an old truck.
Yeah.
You know how like the dash, when it gets hot, it gives like that plasticky smell.
Yeah.
An old truck
Yeah.
has been shut up.
Or like,
Yeah.
and because again, this is not a negative in any way, shape, or
not at
form.
all.
I
But
it's a
almost like
weird, funky smell.
that Brettanomyces sort of smell is something that
you don't
you
really pick up on it that bad.
like. I tend to associate it with when it's light, which it is in this spirit. Like when you go to the dollar store and you buy a Rubbermaid trash can, you take 2 of them apart. that smell that
Yep.
you get
Yeah.
out of those two trash cans coming apart. All right, let's give it a taste.
Deadly brown sugar. Some cinnamon. It's a little hot. It's not bad hot though.
It's a little hot.
It's a little hot, but it's not bad hot.
So we did that to you on purpose because I know that you're particularly a little bit sensitive to cinnamon. So Wayne says, and I'll let Justin read here, his notes are awesome.
So I left a little part out. It also has cayenne pepper. And
It
at
works.
the bottom it says...
I can't really taste the cayenne. I can't taste the hot.
When
but
you
I can
breathe
taste-
out, do you get that?
No, not really.
It's like roasted
Yeah.
pepper.
Yeah.
But at the bottom it says here, I left the cayenne in a bit too long.
But it worked out.
It does.
I can't say that's not that bad.
It's a little cinnamon disc, but it's not. That apple's just enough there that it's almost like mulled cider. Then you get that Brettanomyces thing, which is a little bit of that kind of leaning into the trash can thing, which I know sounds bad, but it's not. I
That's
like
the only
that.
way to explain it, though.
Right. And then the diacetyl from the corn as well. But this is,
That would be good to drink sitting down and eating an old-fashioned apple pie.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. And the fact that he aged this on dehydrated apples,
That would
Yeah.
that'd be really good.
that's a pretty interesting technique. Now, the other thing that I
Some
picked
apple
up,
pie, a little ice cream on it would go great with that.
yeah,
Oh, definitely.
the other thing that I picked up on this earlier, so with the dehydrated apples, and I'll have to ask Wayne, and Wayne, please feel free to let me know if we didn't get anything right in these descriptors, right? That's okay. But the other thing that I pick up in this is that when he dehydrated those apples, I suspect the skins were left on
Mm-hmm.
because there is a tannic note
A little bit.
that comes through in this that adds that complexity of the finish. This is not, for me, I agree with you. This is not something that I would set down and drink, but as like a digestif or an aperitif or, something leading up to dinner or after dinner or even as a replacement for dessert.
Hot toddy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. This would be awesome. Or
This is
the
probably-
bishop's water with,
Oh,
yeah. Take and do about an ounce or two of this to 6 to 8 ounces of apple cider. Throw a cinnamon stick in it and a little sliver of butter and heat it up in the microwave.
Do this as an old fashioned with
Mhm.
apple bitters because the apple bitters a lot of times to me brings out a little bit more of the apple flavor, but that tannic thing, it will bring that out a little bit.
Yeah.
And you said earlier on the skin, and I didn't think of this earlier. And we may have been talking about this, and I can't remember because I remember I said if you age stuff on like a Spire, it's woody, it's not matured. But that tannic thing, honestly, you could have told me this was like a year, maybe 2-year-old whiskey. I'd have believed you.
Yeah, I would have had no idea.
I really
No
like
clue.
it. I could sit and drink it, I think.
To me, too, the finish on that, especially 10, 15, 20 seconds after you drink it, Boston Red Hots. Like
Yes.
after you finish a Boston Red Hot. That lingering,
Yep.
just slight heat, just hanging out.
Like a low level, there's atomic things.
Yeah, like
that
the
are
atomic
stupid
fireball.
hot.
Yeah, right?
This is like that if they messed up and
To
didn't
me,
make it hot enough.
it'd even be a good drink to sit down if he's eating a meal. If he's eating a steak or something, I think it'd be great.
So would you
something
say
like
that this is this old Dale Bishop approved?
Yeah. Probably one of the better ones I've drunk for a while.
Listen to that. I don't know what the fuck podcast this is anymore, whether or not it's a crossover or
I'm
it's just
sorry,
us
I really
working on
like
something
it.
new.
That's
But I
probably-
think this becomes a new tradition where when we do these, Dale comes in for the third spirit, and it's either old Dale Bishop approved or it's not.
I like it. I
If,
really
if
do.
you hear the door close with him saying nothing, he means he didn't like it.
Right. Or you get a,
Really?
I know why you like it. I just think it's trash.
Now,
I wouldn't buy it.
the high proof chaser in me
I would buy that.
would like to see how this is like higher proof, just because I know that's going to open up taste buds,
Right.
and I got a feeling that hot cayenne thing is going to be way too much at that point in time.
Right.
But it would be
Yeah,
interesting to
100
see.
proof it probably would be.
Yeah, but at 90 proof, that's
That's good.
Holy shit. Put water in your glass and take a drink of water.
no, that's a terrible idea.
Whew.
Okay, well,
That'll do it.
That's
I like that. That's pretty good.
Yeah, rinse your all's glass because we got a bonus spirit tonight. So we've got an agave project that I'm working on, and my goal with this agave project is I'm not trying to make an alternative to mezcal or to tequila.
Oh, fuck you.
Hot, huh?
Yeah, that's just nothing but
Just the oils. Yeah. But you know what? You do a rinse for a cocktail.
Oh yeah.
There you go. But my goal is not to recreate mezcal or tequila. You know, the country of Mexico does a fantastic...
I'm sorry, I swirled my glass around. Maybe that's why, but it's not hot.
You looked at me like you puss.
Does a fantastic
Where's
job
your
with that
wife
stuff.
at?
My goal here is to actually produce a tribute to mezcal. So I've played around with wild agave syrup, right, which I know is not the same as actually making a musto from fresh piñas, but to amp that up and to bring it into a sort of Hoosier-centric way of doing things, I have added to that 2 pounds of malted, mesquite-smoked rye malt per every 10 gallons, and then about 3 lime, the equivalent of 3 limes worth of lime zest to each 10 gallons during the distillation. And then on top of that, about a thumb's worth of skinned and sliced ginger that went into the gin basket. So the goal here was to have that agave flavor, but to also pull some smoke through because this is not roasted agave, right? It's not done that way. As well as to pull some of that lime characteristic through and sort of amp things up just a little bit, right? So again, it's not an alternative to a good tequila or a mezcal. It is a tribute to the history of mezcal distilling and tequila distilling that I have hybridized with my Hoosier bullshit.
Hoosier bullshit hooch.
Yes.
So
yes.
just so I'm clear
HBH.
Yes.
Yes.
So the lime peel.
Yeah.
Did you macerate and then you said you put it in the still with?
Nope. Nope.
Okay.
It went into the gin basket.
Into the gin basket
Yes.
also. Okay. So everything's in the gin basket.
Except for the rye malt. Mesquite smoked rye
okay.
malt went into the fermentation.
Gotcha.
So.
And this is, I tried this the other.
Yes, this is what you tried to work. Yeah.
This was pretty good the other day.
That
So-
cinnamon or the cayenne stuck to the glass a little bit, but that's all right. So for me, I get like this almost goes like on the nose in a soda direction. It goes towards like ginger ale and Sprite,
Yeah.
right? So it's almost like even though it's a pure spirit, it's almost like a ready to drink cocktail based on the nose.
So the other day when I tried
It's
it,
kind of like a flat Sprite.
yeah, with a little bit too much syrup or a little bit too heavy on the syrup.
This one is not going to get the Old Dale Bishop seal of approval.
This is what we had the other day. It's not bad. It's. I'm not going to disapprove of it.
I'm gonna turn Dale's volume up here in a minute.
Right.
So the other day I remember
It's one of my favorite drinks. I don't know that I would buy it and drink it, but it's
I
not
drink
that
the
bad
fuck
a
out of
drink.
that.
If I went to your house when he was getting drunk, he was pouring it, I'd probably be drinking it. But
it's fair.
What I like about it is it comes through sweet. You get that lime, you get the agave,
Yeah.
you get just a hint of that smoke. It's a very light, very floral drink, but I think it's something that's it's easy to drink, and I think it's something that you could do. This is not meant to be a high-end buyer's drink, right? This is my artisanal take on what you can do with agave syrup, which I think has a lot of room as a category in the U.S. But I think you can even make slushies
Oh, absolutely.
out of that, you know?
you talk about the Sprite. It's more got a 7-Up taste to it.
Yeah, yeah.
You get that sweet taste out of it like you did at 7-Up.
If you would throw that with just seltzer water or soda water, like you could get some vodka drinkers or even some gin drinkers because it has that citrus thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now the other day when I tried it, was it at that proof or was it higher proof?
It was at the same proof.
I wonder how much of that smoke has volatilized off.
Quite a bit because I let this air out and I
Okay.
meant to close the container the other day and I forgot.
Well, so I liked it the other day. You know how I am with smoke.
Mhm.
I like smoky stuff. It's still there, but honestly, that citric thing works with it being more overpowered now, or not overpowered, higher level in the smoke.
Yeah.
I like that. And for the people that don't know, me and agave,
It's fine. We'll be right back, guys.
10-4 back door.
All right, back again. Disaster averted. There was nothing to see here. I know I edited out that audio, so you guys have no idea what's going on. But we thought there was an emergency, and there was no emergency. So
emergency.
Yeah.
Emergency.
So
151.
what I was saying is, for the people that don't know, me and Agave do not get along when it comes to distilled spirits. My wife loves tequila and mezcal, and I've started to get to the point where I can enjoy some of them, but there are still some of them that smell like college and death. But this, it's the smoke on the backbone of it, and it's just very, very light. Reminds me of very, very light mezcal. Like if you would mix a mezcal with Sprite, is what this reminds me of, because you get that citric thing there too.
Yeah. The
sweetness is what gets me with agave, because most tequilas still have that inherently sweet thing that as soon as I smell it and taste it, I'm like, nope, this has been since circa 2008.
Can't do it.
And I can't do it. But this is great. And like I said, I think mixing this with a little sparkling water, or even in a Paloma?
Yeah.
Like in a Paloma, I think this would be really good.
I think even just a highball, if you were to do, an ounce or 2 to 8 ounces of ginger ale.
Yeah.
Right, and then maybe even hit that with a little bit of lime or lemon juice.
What's one of the lighter ginger ale? Something, because I know.
So Canada Dry would work fairly well for that.
Yeah,
I know a few
don't
of
like
them are a little
Canada
bit too
Dry,
heavy.
but it might be good.
Yeah. All that being said, I think we're going to wrap this one up, because now the other dog is going to throw a fit in the background.
Yes.
So Justin, tell people where they can find your podcast, Still Learning.
So pretty much any streaming platform should have it now. If you need to search it on Anchor or Spotify, you can find it. But like I said, I'm on iHeartRadio, Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, whatever they call that now. Pretty much anywhere on there. I also have a Facebook, just Still Learning as well, to where I post a little bit on there. I'm not as active on there as I should be. Something else I'm learning is time management. So maybe I'll be doing a little bit better on there from now on.
Well, we have successfully melted my father. You don't have a social media presence short of Facebook.
No.
So,
You
and
want to talk to me, get on ham radio, and I'll talk to you all day long.
He'll say he does W9NPCY.
N9PCY.
N9PCY. I was throwing in the W because of the Howard Stern thing. WNBC.
You get on ham radio and talk to you all day long.
Looks like pig vomit. Why? Because he looks like a pig. It makes me want to vomit.
That makes my day coming home every day. It kills that hour coming home on that radio.
Well, you can find all three of us at spiritsofFrenchlick.com. You can find our products, hopefully, at Sillbox.com. And I think we have some other online retailers coming on here shortly. You can find me at thealchemistcabinet.com, the Distillers Talk podcast, wherever you get podcasts. If you have Ghosts, you have everything podcast, wherever you get podcasts, and the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute on YouTube. All right, guys, have a good one. Suck a dick, Dale.
Just remember, she don't say old Dale Bishop.
Oh, Dale Bishop.
You've never done any good.